A Japanese exclusive, Astro Rabby has a certain uniqueness to it. The levels are seen from a pseudo 3D top-down perspective, where jumping has the illusion of making your character jump out of the screen instead of upwards. At first, your character only jumps a little bit, but the height and length can be upgraded. Throughout the stages are these question mark blocks that look exactly like the ones out of Mario, except this time you're not jumping up from underneath, you need to jump on them. Doing so will reveal one of a few things, which can then be jumped on again to collect the various effects. Landing on one a second time removes the block, however, leaving a pitfall that sends Rabby drifting off into the great unknown. The reason this is important is because these levels are cyclical, repeating themselves until you find the special part in one of the question blocks. You better get used to how far you can jump, as pre-planning and methodical routing is necessary to search as many of the blocks as possible. Of course, you could find the power-up piece, in the shape of a heart, in the first one you look in. That's the luck of RNG. However, some of these levels have a lot of blocks to open. The other effects you can find don't always help either. Sure, there are exclamation points which give bonuses, and time extensions. I should remark on the stringent time limit here. But later on you'll find a lot of skulls, which, if you land on them a second time, decrease your score. Running out of blocks is a real pain, and this will happen with only a couple of circuits. There's also a small scattering of enemies that you can shoot, but I probably wouldn't focus too much on that until later on, as it really isn't a large facet at first. Whereas on the latter stages, you can shoot these enemies that grow out of the ground in order to get some jump and weapon upgrades. The game looks pretty nice, actually. The jumping animation of your sprite is effective in giving the game depth, and this is one of the few Game Boy games set in space that I can think of that actually has blackness as the space. Often this was avoided due to the excessive blurring. The music is too repetitive for my tastes though, and doesn't really match the spacey atmosphere. After 2 successful scrolling levels, there'll be a still level where you have a load of blocks that all produce a particular tone when jumped on. There are pairs of tones, and the aim is to bounce from one tone to its partner, eliminating all pairs in a match-up fashion. You don't lose anything for just letting the level play out, but the bonuses are nice. Overall, Astro Rabby is accessible, if a tad repetitious, and looks great. I'd give it a go if you're after something that is unusual within Japan, virtually unknown without. You should be able to get to the ending, but if not, I'll detail it for you. I'm not spoiling anything, really. There's no final encounter or anything, rather merely a text screen that says, word for word, "At last, Rabby could take all of the power-up parts back from the Tortoise troops. Luckily, his efforts in the battle could make himself fly power-up parts." Then Rabby and the Doc are reunited. A somewhat baffling little title.